Why Dallas? And I have my theory, and Dak Prescott did not look very happy about this trade, and I do think a message is being sent there. But I also think it's not a great result for Trey. I think there are other places that could have been better, might have been able to offer a better path to the field for Trey Lance. Let's find out what Clarence Hill Jr. Thinks about it. Fort Worth Star-Telegram. He's been covering the Cowboys for a very, very long time. Clarence, welcome to the show here. Willard and Dibbs, 95.7 The Game. How you doing?
What's up, fellas? How you doing?
Yeah, we're doing great, man. Why Dallas? Why did the Cowboys do this?
Because it's a low investment on a guy that you can develop. They've been looking for a developmental quarterback. They've been open about that, and giving up a fourth round pick get a chance to look at a guy who was considered a first round talent. I think the Cowboys actually had a second-round grade on him, not a first-round grade, even though the 49ers gave up 3 first-round picks to get him and moved up to number 3. They didn't really have him first-round grade, but they thought it was an intriguing prospect, and here's a chance to go get a look at an intriguing prospect as the number 3 quarterback for a low price.
What's the thinking about Dak Prescott long-term? Is this a little bit of a shot across Dak's bow in terms of him getting some extra comp in the building?
No. Not at all. I mean, I understand the narrative and the perception, but you guys are in San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've seen Trey Lance play, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you've seen him not do anything. You've seen him still be a question. You know, the biggest question about him coming out of the draft was limited reps, limited passes, and he didn't get much of that in San Francisco. From a real football standpoint, how can this be a threat to Dak Prescott? This is truly a developmental option. But, yes, the optics say first-round pick, come to Dallas. There are questions about Dak. He hasn't won the playoffs, contract coming up. This is something that's going to impact Dak. That's not really true based on what we've seen. You know, the Cowboys, what they said and what they told me on Saturday night, we still plan on signing Dak Prescott to a long-term deal. He is our quarterback. Stephen Jones said that the best thing about this thing with Trey is that we do develop him. You know, we could trade him. We could get something for him. You know, quarterbacks still have a commodity out there. So, but again, it's a 2-year look, and then we'll see.
Yeah, Clarence Hill Jr. with us here, Willard and Dibbs. You say the Cowboys have been looking for a developmental quarterback. I get it. They're an asset, especially if they really pop. But why such motivation for a developmental quarterback? And let's be real, Dak did not look pleased by this move.
Well, let's be honest. Let's treat that. Let's talk about the Dak. Dak is a team guy, and Dak is close with Will Grier. Okay, so that was a shot across the bow. Dak was calling plays the first time. Will Grier was trying to make the roster and be their third quarterback. He was not pleased of what was happening to his friend. You know, that's part of it. And that was a lot of it. Him not pleased with what was happening to his friend at that moment. So that's why Dak, you know, obviously he's a fourth-round pick himself. It's not like he came in as first-round pick. He's not a guy that thinks that, you know, he shouldn't be challenged or anything like that. I mean, that's never been his mentality. And he's not a guy who necessarily needs a light lit up under him. I mean, he's always been the first guy in the locker room, the last guy to leave him and leader. And he will embrace Trey. There's no question about that. Dak will embrace Trey. You know, it's nothing personal in that respect. He was feeling for his friend, the guy that he likes, he spent a lot of time with. And up until that moment, you know, he was fighting for a roster spot, fighting for a spot to be the third quarterback, and he's been here a couple of years. And so they have a close quarterback room. So that's what that was about. So it's nothing more than that. I know the optics look different because it was all a surprise at the same time, but it was really more about Will Grier.
Cooper Rush is firmly entrenched as the 2, so Trey Lance comes in as QB3. How do they go about getting him the sort of work that they need to give him in order to have him develop?
Yeah, that's the question. And we asked Mike McCarthy that today. I mean, because we all know that there's no rep for the backup quarterback during the season. You know, and there's certainly not a rep for the third quarterback. I mean, you know, the focus during the week is all about getting the number one guy ready to play that game. You have a limited rep for the backup quarterback. There's no rep for the third quarterback. It's hard to develop a third quarterback during the season, but they have them in the building to learn the offense. Certainly they have time. They do things after practice with their young players. that's going to be involved in. Certainly have a bye week. You're going to do things to be involved in that. But, the focus will be more about the off season and get ready for next year. He will be the third quarterback this year. There's no question about that. There's no path to really playing time. And then they hope they don't have to play him this year because they hope everybody stays healthy. It's really about the off season next year, getting him ready.
Clarence, when you say he is clearly the QB3, I understand the pressure of him being the early pick that he was for the 49ers, but as of last week, the idea of winning the QB3 job or losing the QB2 job is what led to Trey saying, maybe I don't want to be here anymore. But he's just going to be someone else's QB3. And as you said, there's no reps there. Is this a good move for Trey Lance, this landing spot?
It's a good move for Trey Lance in the sense that Mike McCarthy has a history of developing quarterbacks. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback to learn behind, and how he handles his business. And again, it's about him, getting reps, and it's about next year's preseason, the offseason, next year's preseason, putting some on tape. I mean, there's a chance he could be the backup next year, But again, let's take being a former first-round pick off the table. Okay, the 49ers traded up 3 picks, 3 first-round picks, and all that other stuff. If the Cowboys, their point of view is we picked the guy in the 4th round next year, what they gave up to develop him, that's what we're doing. And I know that, because he's the former first-round pick, he has high expectations of himself and for himself, as he should. But again, he should be appreciative of any opportunity. Somebody wants to develop him, wants to invest in him, wants to spend time with him. He should take advantage of that opportunity.
What's the mood in Dallas surrounding this? Is it ho-hum, or is it we got over on one of our NFC rivals?
I don't think they got over. I don't think anybody feels they got over because, the reports are that the Cowboys, were the ones who, gave up the most, and no one offered that much. Most people are offering 5th and 6th, if that much, for Trey Lance. So I don't think anybody feels they got over. I mean, I think everybody understands the business side of it, and everybody understands that it's a development opportunity. Again, it's also parsed with the fact that people feel bad for Will Grier because so far Will Grier has done more, at least look better in the time than Trey Lance has shown. I mean, what he did the other night was a phenomenal performance in what was his final game with the Cowboys.
Clarence Hill Jr., Fort Worth Star-Telegram, covering the Cowboys for years, with us here on Willard and Dibs. Clarence, what do you make of the 49ers and Cowboys getting together on a deal? Because to me, when we usually see someone move on from a player, they like to send them to the other conference. They like to keep them out of their division. And my goodness, they like to keep them away from their rivals. So what does that mean to you that these two teams got together on a deal?
Maybe it means that the 49ers don't think much of Trey Lance. I mean, clearly, the Cowboys like the move. And the fact that the 49ers were dealing with the Cowboys, they don't think much of the Cowboys being a threat, or they don't think much of Trey Lance giving them any intel or being somebody's going to come back to bite him years down the road. So that's what comes to mind to me.
Clarence, me too. Great stuff, man. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, Clarence Hill Jr., Fort Worth Star-Telegram.